occasion where we have the opening of this wonderful new facility, the 1878 facility, which is going to transform our wonderful football club. May I introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed and very recent chairwoman, Paula Henley. A round of applause.
Quite how I'm meant to follow that, I really don't know. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am incredibly nervous, so if I shake and get my words wrong, I do apologise, but I'll try my best. A good friend of mine actually gave me some tips, which basically she said, the best thing to do, Paula, is just write down 10 words as a prompt, and then you can't really go far wrong. So I wrote down 10 words as a prompt, but unfortunately I needed 10 more words to surround those words, and then 10 more words to surround those words, and by the time I'd finished, I had a chapter, if not a whole book. So I have written down my notes. I've rehearsed them more times than I can imagine, but I'm still going to have to refer to them. So I'm going to try and make this come from the heart, because it does come from the heart. But if I'm reading, please do excuse me. First thing is to say thank you very much for the attendance tonight. I'm really, really overwhelmed with the amount of support that we've got. And, you know, this is a launch, as Chris alluded to just then, of a new era for Wimborne Town Football Club. And, you know, it's fabulous that you're all here this evening. The fact you're all here this evening, I've got to plug Henley's response and my husband, Russell Henley, who's here with a pint, obviously, to say thank you very much, because without him and the funding of Henley's, this wouldn't have happened. I gave him 2.5 weeks, or I asked him nicely if he could produce something in 2.5 weeks, and he did. So the room that we're in at the moment is thanks very much to Henley's response. So can everyone give him a round of applause, because he deserves it. So I took over the chair quite recently. In fact, someone today said to me, how long have you been here, Paula? And he's not the first person to ask me that question. A few people have. And I've gone along and said, 3-4 months. And then actually, when I looked at how long I've been here since the 29th of September, which is not 3 or 4 months. It feels like it, but I mean that in the best way. So yeah, I've been here since the 29th of September. Why am I here? My remit is to awaken what I believe to be a massively sleeping giant. I need to drive the club forward commercially. That's my job, to generate income to support both on the pitch and off the pitch operations. So the positives I have to draw upon make what I'm ultimately trying to achieve actually worth sticking my neck out for. So what am I ultimately trying to achieve? Well, Wimborne Town sits within the Wimborne community. Wimborne is a very special place. It's not a place that I knew a lot about. I have to be honest, I'm from Ferndown, sorry about that, but I had to use the F word. But I want to live in Wimborne.
That's all right.
It's a special place to be. The people that live here love it. The people that don't live here aspire to live here. I've been absolutely overwhelmed by the businesses that operate within Wimborne, the passion they have for Wimborne. I've been overwhelmed by the everyday people, the passion they have for Wimborne. I'm just, everywhere I go, I'm met with a warmth that exudes, basically, and everybody wants Wimborne Town to do well, and everyone is behind me, and that's just fantastic. I didn't expect it. I thought, being chair of Wimborne Town, there'd probably be a bit of interest, but, Wimborne really are behind this club, and so it's my duty now to push things forward. I want to make this football club a true beacon of success. Sorry, but there had to be some corporate words in there somewhere. So becoming a true beacon of success is my motivation. At the risk of sounding like Martin Luther King, but someone has to at times, I do have a dream. What do I see? Well, I see conference, and I'm not talking about Southern Conference. Yes, we need to get to Southern Conference first, but I'm talking about the main conference. I don't think that's too much of a dream. That's my medium-term plan, actually. Long-term, Football League. Anyone think I'm mad?
No.
I probably am. But then, you know, if you think back 7 years and you think about AFC Bournemouth and the position that they were in, at the bottom of League Two on minus 17 points, millions of pounds in debt. If you'd have spoken to their chairman at that point and said to him, do you think you would be second in the Championship, pushing for an automatic promotion place to the Premier League, he would have just laughed at you. But does anyone want to tell me where Bournemouth are at the moment? Second in the Championship, pushing for automatic promotion. So if they can do it, millions of pounds in debt, on minus 17 points, there's absolutely no reason why Wimborne Town can't do it. So that's my motivation. The refurbishment of the room we're standing in is pivotal, basically, in the turn of our fortunes. I really need this room to work. That's why you're here this evening, and I've now lost my place because I'm on my iPad. Do excuse me. Yeah, I knew it would be this bit that I cocked up as well. Because this is the bit where I need to say, we need more sponsors. We need more match day sponsors. We need more advertising. We need shirt sponsors, ball sponsors, any kind of sponsors that you can imagine is what we need. So it's not just this room. Obviously, this room is going to be key in our success. This room can transform. It can be a birthday party for a 7-year-old. It can be a wedding function, an engagement function. It can be a business function. It can be whatever you want it to be. And I hope that people are getting that vibe tonight. So the room is very important, but there are other elements of revenue. I want to mention Steve Cuss. Steve's in the room tonight. He might not know this, but he is the main reason that I came here. Steve's one of these people, I'm going on a tangent. I'm very good at that. What was that? Kelly Flexman, is that you again? You've spilled the drink and now you're making popping noises. What's going on? Anyway.
Hole in the ceiling.
Is there a hole in the ceiling? Oh my God, Mr. Henley is not in the room, please. Oh, is there a stain? Is there a stain? Please say no. Okay, so Steve Cuss, the reason that I'm here. Well, you know, before I really knew Steve, I used to see Steve everywhere I went. If it was coming here to bring Cameron, that's my son, to a football, a holiday football course. If it was at the Gold Sands, there would be Steve. If it was Harewood College, there's Steve, Little Down, and there's Steve. So I used to think to myself, I keep seeing this man everywhere I go. He seems to be everywhere. You know, I don't really know what he does. Who said that? Thanks, Ken. But you know what? There's one word that actually encapsulates what Steve Cuss does, and that is everything. Steve Cuss does everything for this club. He's a bit of an unsung hero. He's here, you know, week in, week out, like a lot of people here. But Steve does an awful lot for this football club. He does a lot for the players that are under his guidance. And I would like to personally just break from this speech and just give Steve a big round of applause, because what he's achieved is phenomenal. And just to add to that, I think if we are able to give this man a budget, I actually think that even Eddie Howe might be looking over his shoulder at some point, because we've done this on a shoestring. Imagine what the generation of income from this room and other income can do. You know, we'll have money to pay the players. Ken Fogarty's not here, is he?
No.
No, good. So we'll have more money to pay the players more. And ultimately that's what we really need to do. So on that note, the players... Are you sure Ken's not here? So are the players being paid enough money? No, they're not. Do they put their heart and soul into every performance they make for Wimborne Town Football Club? Absolutely, they do. Have their heads been turned? Are they approached by other clubs trying to get them to leave Wimborne Town by the lure of more money? Yes. Where are they? They're at Wimborne Town Football Club, and that's where I want them to stay. And obviously we need some more players too, because they've got to be competitive and play for their place. Another mention, and that is our unsung heroes. These are our supporters and volunteers. These are the people, they are Wimborne Town through and through. Again, to use this phrase of being overwhelmed, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of time and dedication they give to this football club. And more than anyone probably, they deserve to be a part of this beacon of success. They literally, I was going to say they never moan, but that's not true because they do. But they are doing this for nothing, so we have to take that from time to time. We've been blessed with monetary contributions over the years which have literally kept this club afloat. And I mean literally kept this club afloat even. It's our turn now to support them. And do you know what? We'll do it. I really mean that. We're going to do it. We're going to turn things around. We're not going to expect them to bail us out anymore. We're going to make them proud. And I need everybody's help in this room to achieve that. There's something I want to share with you too. I mean, some of you might know that I used to run a nursery. It was called Little Hens. Now, Little Hens was named a bit of a play on my surname, Henley, and the fact that I'm not particularly tall without heels. And my husband calls me Little Hen, so it was called Little Hen. And after a while, I was known as Mother Hen, which, when your pupils are under the age of 5, is kind of cute. But when your husband turns around to you the other night and says, "So then, you're Mother Hen again," I thought, hang on a minute, and I went to say something, and then it suddenly dawned on me that actually I am old enough to be most of the players' mother. So I know the players aren't here tonight because they've got a big game tomorrow, but this has given me a great sense of achievement because I can nag and I can be bossy again. And I can say to these players, you've got a big game ahead of you tomorrow. I'm not a pushy parent, but I do expect 7 in a row. We've already run 6 on the trot. Not being pushy, I need that to turn into number 7. I'm pleased they're not here tonight. I'm pleased they're having an early night, but I'm going to start nagging. So I do apologise. I do apologise, guys. So I was going to say to them, although they're not here tonight, that they are capable of achieving anything. That's one thing that I've always believed in. I mean, I was told as a young child, and this is completely, I haven't written this, I don't quite know where this is going, so I apologise, but my grandmother said to me when I was very young to be anything but average. Go out there and do your best. That's all we can do, and that's possibly what I'm trying to do here. I've got no experience of running a football club, but I've got a love for the sport, and I've got a belief in myself that I can drive things forward. So it's the same, the players just need to adapt the same philosophy, and I believe under Steve that's what they do. So believe you can do anything. And to quote my son's school motto, I love school mottos, and his is particularly good, and it just simply says, "I can because I think I can," and that to me says everything. Here we go again with my iPad. So once again, thank you. Oh yes, so once again, thank you for attending tonight. Naturally, I hope this will be the start of a hugely successful friendship. I would now like to ask our special guest this evening, the legend that is Big Fletch, to join me in officially opening 1878. Do stick around as well, because I've got some questions for him. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. AFC Bournemouth, Mr. Steve Fletcher. Thank you, Steve.
Nice to see we both on water. Won't be for very long, we have. Not be half that.
That's pure gin, though.
Pure gin, is it? Vodka? Yeah. First of all, foremost, I want to say thank you very much to Wimborne Town Football Club and Paula for inviting me here tonight to officially open the lounge. It's a great honour. I've been at the football club for 22 years now in Bournemouth. I've actually lived over half my life here on the south coast, so I'm a Hartlepool lad originally from the northeast. I'm a converted southerner now. My mum and dad don't like me saying that because sometimes when we're on holiday and I've been with them and they say, "Oh, where are you from? Your accent's a little bit mixed." And I go, "Oh, I'm from Bournemouth." And my mother gives me, "You're not. You're from Hartlepool and don't forget it." In a much more common accent than that. I'm actually quite posh, believe it or not. When I go back up to Hartlepool, people think I'm a posh southerner now. But no, thank you very much for inviting me down. I'm going to do a couple of questions with Paul. I think you've got a few things to ask me, and if anyone out there wants to know a little bit that's been going on at the football club or what I do, that's no problem. But I think we'll get on with the official opening.
Yeah.
Listen to me, rabbit on. So, on behalf of Wimborne Town Football Club and the chairperson, I would like to officially say the 1878 lounge is open. Could you put the radiators up a little bit as well? Freezing
Now, I did say to someone earlier on that, I was very frightened of taking the mic, but once I got it, I didn't want to let go. Saskia, that was you, wherever you are. It's true. I might even go into karaoke. It's got that way around. But, no, I promise I won't. I did do Shirley Bassey once, and quite well, so maybe one day I will. But going back to, I've got a couple of questions for Big Fletch. Earlier on, I talked about my ambitions, and I referred to the situation the Cherries found themselves in 7 years ago. So, question one is, I would like to ask Steve to tell us about the Great Escape season. How did you and how did the players get through that?
Yeah, with teamwork from everyone at the football club. That is basically it. I came back to the football club. I'd been there for 15 years. The new manager came in, Kevin Bond, didn't see eye to eye, let me go, and I went to Chesterfield for a season.
Chesterfield, where's where I'm from?
That's where I'm going tomorrow. Brilliant. Anyone want to join me? Straight up the M1? Don't think so. Because I'm a scout now, if anyone didn't know. I went to Crawley after Chesterfield. It was just too far for me to go with my family and everything up to Chesterfield 2 or 3 times a week. So I came back down to Crawley. I was 35, 36 I was, and 6 months into the season, the manager then was Jimmy Quinn, and he got the sack on New Year's Day. And I was actually, this is good, honest truth, I was doing the ironing upstairs. So we didn't have a game. I was playing in the conference, which was the Blue Square Premier then with Crawley Town. And I was listening on the radio and I said, Jimmy Quinn's been relieved of his duties. Eddie Howe, who'd been my best friend for 16 years, I watched him come through the youth ranks all the way up to what he's doing now, has been given the reins until the end of the season. And I was buzzing. I ran down, told the missus, and this is God's honest truth, my missus turned around to me and she went, I bet he phoned you and tries to get you back. And I went, oh, shut up, you idiot. I went, not a chance. Later that night, on my God's honest truth, the phone was on the side, and I went, oh my God, Eddie Howe on the phone. I went, this is unbelievable. I thought he was just going to say, oh, Biggin, I've took the job over, everything all right, yeah, how's it going? First thing he said to me, I want you back, Biggin. I was like, oh my God, goose pimples ran through my body, the hair stood on my neck. I never thought for 1 minute after being here for 15 years I could envisage coming back to the football club. And I just turned around to him, and I won't say the words I said, and I just was like, yeah, whatever. I said, it's impossible, it can't happen. He said, why? I said, because I'm 6 months into a 2-year contract at Crawley, the highest Crawley have ever been in the Football League. They won't let me out my contract, and I can't come back, Gaffer. I said, well, I'll call him Gaffer now. I can't come back, Ed, I said, because it just doesn't feel right. But I went to bed that night, and you can imagine it was the only thing on my mind. Couldn't sleep. Next day, couldn't sleep. And it was the 1st of January, or the 2nd of January. I actually signed on the 21st, and for them 20 days, he must have phoned me over 100 times. 100 times. Every day, 3-4 times a day. It was unbelievable. Have you spoke to your manager at Crawley, which was Steve Evans, who's now the manager of Rotherham. I don't know if you know Steve Evans. You'll never meet a lunatic like this guy. He liked me, thankfully. Maybe because he respected me because of my age, but he is the craziest man I've ever met. And I've met some weird lunatic people in my time, managers. And I bottled it, and I couldn't go in. I was frightened to go in and say to Steve Evans, Eddie Howe wants me to go back. But the more I thought about it, laying in bed, the more I wanted to come back. Because my love for Bournemouth Football Club, it just runs through my veins, and people say, oh, whatever, that's just... It does, otherwise I wouldn't be here 22 years of my life. It does. And I wanted to come back, and the more I thought about it, the more I wanted. And I asked my family and friends, and they were going, you had some great times, Fletch, don't go back, because club's gone 17 points, deduction, they could go out of existence if they don't stay in the Football League. So you've got an 18-month contract at Crawley, or you go to Bournemouth for 4 months, because that's all I could sign from then till the end of the season, and that's it, and you finish it. And then where are you going to go from that? You're 37. And I went, yeah, but I want to do it because that's where my love is, and if I don't do it, I'll always think, what if? And it's a bit like this football club, what if you don't try and do what you're planning to do? Yeah. Because it will eat you up inside, and it was eating me up for days. And just in the middle of the night, woke my missus up and said, I'm doing it. She went, oh my God. I said, I'm going to do it. I went to see Steve Evans, and thankfully he said to me, Fletch, he said, I knew you were going to come to me when Eddie Howe got the job, and he said, I'm going to allow you out of your contract. And that doesn't happen with managers to do that. So as much as anyone says about Steve Evans and things have been printed, for me, if it wasn't for Steve Evans, I wouldn't be here now making this speech and achieved everything I've achieved since I came back in 2009. He found someone else to replace me. On the Thursday and on the Friday I signed for the football club. It was surreal. That's the only way to say. I haven't had many surreal moments in my life. I've had some fabulous times, but it was a surreal moment. It was like, wow, this isn't actually happening. I signed, went out on the pitch. The lads had made what do they call that one? Guard of honour, like that. I've never had one in my life because I've never won the league, but a guard of honour. It was brilliant, and we were playing Wycombe the next day. We were rock bottom of the league. We were playing Wycombe Wanderers the next day, the Saturday. They were top of the league by about 4 or 5 points, so we played in the top of the league. And we beat them 3-1 at home, and we doubled our crowd from 3,200 up to, I think it was about 5,900. We'd almost doubled the crowd. It was Eddie's first game in charge at home. He'd lost his first 2 away. I suppose it was my homecoming again. And from then, we just went on a crest of a wave, and it was all because of hard work. And that sign up there, we have a lot of these signs, motivational quotes, all around the football club, all around where the players are. And you can take them as you want. Some people look at them and take them in, and players do as well, and some don't. And it's up to you how you read them, but that, for me, is the reason we've gone on to do what we've done as a football club. Of course, finances help. They're a massive reason why. But if you don't have that, you don't have anything, because hard work beats the talent. It does. And we didn't have nothing. That was the same team that got relegated the season before. We'd added me, we added Anton Robinson and Liam Feeney, and that was it. And that was it. And it was the same team, but it was the spirit, the hard work, the belief. The belief is the most important thing, which is installed from the manager. And we just went on a crest of a wave, and I mean, the greatest moment of my career, I played at Wembley, which I could only have dreamed of as a kid, in front of nearly 70,000 in the auto windscreen, 1998. I scored a goal at the Millennium Stadium in the playoff final, something I couldn't even envisage as a kid. But my favourite moment in football, scoring that goal against Grimsby to keep us in the Football League, because I know what it meant to the football club. It was just a league goal, it'll go down as, but I always say without that goal, I always wind everyone and say we might not be here now, and that's my claim to fame, really. And it was only a goal, but it was so important to that football club. So I was there for 19 games, and I think we only lost 2 or 3. And the stats said if we'd have started the season on them 19 games, we'd have been promoted. Yeah. So it was quite apt that the season after we just carried it on. We made 1 or 2 additions. We didn't spend a lot of money. We got promoted the next season. Season after, we got into the playoff semi-final. Eddie had moved on to Burnley. I took the reins with Lee Bradbury for 4 months. We got into the playoff semi-final. We were beaten on penalties by Huddersfield. The season after, I stepped down. That's why we obviously didn't do anything. Yeah. And the season after, you know, Eddie's come back. We got promoted to the Championship. We just finished our highest position ever, and now we're flying. We're flying, and like you said earlier, we are doing brilliant. But you know, we are level-headed at the football club. We have to put things in perspective. We are sitting amongst a hell of a lot of good teams, big teams, ex-Premier. I think the top 9 out of the 10 have been in the Premier League in the last 5 or 6 years, and we're the one who hasn't. So we're level-headed. We know the task ahead, and I always say to people, get excited, absolutely, because why not? Because if you don't, this might never come again. Yeah. But be realistic. You know, there's 5 points separating the top 7 or 8 teams, and you know, for us to be in second place is astronomical. We never thought this in a million years. Even if you ask Eddie in his wildest dreams, the gaffer, he wouldn't have thought that. We just went on a good run, and it is hard work on the training ground, but it needs everybody in the football club to chip in. People think, oh, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about them in accounts, or it doesn't matter them in media departments, or it does. Yeah. Because they're not pulling in the right direction. I've learnt this because I'm older. I mean, I couldn't have made this speech 15 years ago. I've been in the football club, I see things happen. I've had so many lows. I mean, been in administration twice, and I've been part of it, and we've had massive highs. And I always look around and think, well, if he's not pulling his weight in that department, their department, whatever it is, he's not going to be singing off the same song sheet as what we are. Everybody's, and you're going to have ups and downs, but everybody's got to pull in the same direction and believe. Yeah. Because if you've got people in one department not believing it and not doing their job properly, it does affect everything. Most importantly, yes, it's what happens on the pitch, but everything else around that affects what happens on the pitch. And it might be that much, but that much makes a massive difference, because if you had 20 of them that don't matter, all of a sudden you've got that amount, and then it's a big problem. So that's the way we've looked at it. We don't want to stand still. We try to keep moving step by step every season. So if we can finish higher than what we did last season and get in the playoffs, that will be a step moving forward. And what we've done for the last 6 years, with the help of the chairman and the owner, and and I think, I know, I'm not even going to say I think, I know we've got the best young manager under the age of probably 40 in English football, and I would put him in the top few of all English football. I work with him, so I see what you don't. You see what you see on a Saturday, and you might hear one or two things, but I see the effort that Eddie puts in. He is there, well, Steve, you'll know. He's the first one in the stadium 7:15 every morning, and he's one of the last ones to leave. He's the last one off the training ground. He won't leave a stone unturned, and anyone who thinks he can pull the wool over his eyes, he catches them out, and he sets the bar, he sets the standard, and we've all got to try and reach it. And I've seen his training methods, how meticulous he is, how professional. He's my mate, and I could turn around and say all these things, but I wouldn't say them with a passion. People can tell. And I said, I do believe he will be England manager one day. I might be shot down in flames, absolutely. But I see England managers, and I see other managers, and for me, England needs someone like Eddie Howe to take over and go away from everything that has been tradition about English football over the years. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying Eddie's ready right now, but in a few years he's going to get better and better. Whether Bournemouth do that or whatever, Eddie's passion and his drive and his commitment and his work ethic is second to none, and I think he will be eventually England manager. But like I say, you could see me in 5 years and go, Fletcher, you were wrong, maybe, but I ain't seen any better, and I haven't heard of any better. And I've been in the game for 24 years, so that's how highly I think of him. Yeah. So I'm not saying you are going to aspire to what we're doing, but you have to look at us, because if you don't aim high, you'll finish there. Yeah, no, you have to. Doesn't matter if you're good, bad, or indifferent. You have to aim there, and that's not just football. Mm-hmm. That's in every walk of life, every passion you've got, every business. Because if you don't, what you'll do is, we'll just aim about there because we're happy there, we're comfortable. And what will happen is you won't do, you'll end up there. And I found that out, not only in my game and in what I do, but working with the football club and what I do now. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. The second question.
That was 20 questions in one. I written them.
The second question is now obsolete. The third question obsolete. 4, 5, 6, 7. Just one last question. I'm going to take my Wimborne Town hat off and ask if this is we being AFC Bournemouth. I love the Cherries. AFC Bournemouth are just fantastic. But is this the best team that you've seen in recent history? And can we get into the Premier League? And more to the point, if we did, can we stay there?
Well, it has to be the best team because the stats say so. I've played with some great players, don't get me wrong. Along the way, Jimmy and Defoe, and when I first started, like Effin Akuku, and Tony Pulis signed me in '92, so I've seen players come and go, but I trained with the boys this week. Gaffer got me out there, he's 1 or 2 bodies short, and he said, can you join in? And I looked at him like, oh, brilliant. Mate, I can't believe how quick and technical these players are. I can't live with it. I know, right, I'm 42 and a half and I haven't played for 18 months, but I still thought I might be able to do a little bit. I was miles away. And I still think 5 years ago, I'd have been miles away. They're on another level, but the Gaffer's got them to another level, because I was playing with these boys 18 months ago, and they were good. I knew they were good, but I was living with them to a certain degree. I can't even contemplate living with them now. They are fantastic, but once again, if they stand still, they'll drop their standards. So the Gaffer's always onto them every day. Everything we do in training, and this will apply to you, Steve, as well, Mr. Cuss, everything we do in training, we play at match tempo. Because if you're sloppy in training, you're sloppy in games. And you can do that with anything you do in work, whether you're doing a presentation. If you're sloppy preparing it, you'll be sloppy in the presentation. Yeah. So the Gaffer has them training, not flat out 100%, but the tempo when they're on it is bang on, and it has to be, because you take that mentality then from the training pitch onto the match day. And I think the boys can hold their own. Yeah. I think we've got a massive chance this season. You need a lot of things to go your way. I'm not going to jinx anything, but you know what I'm trying to say. You need to keep your best team if you can. We've got a good squad, which is proven in the League Cup. 10 changes and we beat West Brom, Premier League team. And now we've got Liverpool on the 17th of December, which is fantastic, even though I had to buy my own tickets, which I couldn't believe. 22 years for nothing, thank you. So yeah, great times at the moment, but we are sensible. We know where we're at. We know the company around us and what we're keeping. And we've got a huge game tomorrow. Like Wimborne have a Dick Cop. we've got a huge game at home to Ipswich Town, and we've got to maintain our chances. We're having this conversation in March, and we're still in and around it. I'll be excited as anyone, but I've got to keep my feet on the ground. You know, I want to jump up in the air sometimes when I'm out scouting. I'm at Birmingham or Coventry or wherever I'm at, and then a little buzzer goes on my phone, and I look and I'm like, yes! I just want to jump up and down. There's a goal gone in. You know, I'm actually a fan now. I wasn't a fan before. And I know what people go through when they're a supporter. Yeah. When you sat there on the bench, you want the boys to win, but it's different. You're in that bubble of the football world. When you come out of it, which was the hardest thing for me, to be out that dressing room and the bubble that I lived in, you become a fan. All of a sudden, you're heading and kicking and swearing and shouting. I've become an absolute supporter of the football club, and I get nervous watching them. I get nervous taking the phone out of my pocket when it vibrates and there's a goal gone in, because the app vibrates. Who's it going to be? Are we going to be 1 up, 1 down? I'm hoping we're 1 up, because the mood in the Monday morning in the office isn't going to be very good. But yeah, I've become a real fan, and I just hope we can do it. It'd be magnificent for the football club and for the area, and hopefully a team for everyone around us to aspire to.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. I just want to say thank you very much to Steve. You know, he's given up his part of his evening. It's Friday night. I know he's a very busy man, so to have taken the time to come down to Cuthbury to open this lounge, you know, I'm so appreciate it so much. I know everybody in this room does. So, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Fletcher. Thank you. The laptop's gone off now. My iPad's decided to die on me, but it's okay because I've only got a couple more things to say. Surprisingly, because I didn't think I was ever going to leave. But it's just to say now, thank you very much, everybody, again for coming. There is food out. Please relax, enjoy, grab some food, go and say hello to the clubhouse, buy some drinks, give us some sponsorship. Sorry, I didn't say that. Yeah, just have a nice evening. Thank you very much.
Yay! Ladies and gentlemen, can I suggest we give 3 cheers for Fletcher, our new chairman? 3 cheers. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! God bless you all and all who sail in you.